Okay, this is going to be number 47 in your book on page 418. That's page 418. And well, it says in exercises 47 through 54, evaluate. Okay, we've heard that word before. Evaluate f of x for the given values of x. Then use the ordered pairs, right? Just a fancy name for points from your table to graph the function. Okay, so we want to graph this function, and they call it f of x equals x squared minus 1. Okay, so this is your function notation, right? This does not mean f times x, okay? You read it as f of x, and we're going to input values, and then we're going to get outputs, right? We have inputs and we have outputs. And they gave you a nice table, right, to graph this function. So I'll go ahead and just, might as well use that. Now, you don't have to use the table, but it's a nice way to organize the information. So x and f of x. Okay, so, well, they already give you the values. So -2, oops, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And make this a little bit thicker. Okay, so if this means if x is -2, okay, you have to learn to write f of, okay, well, I'm inputting negative. And, well, this is where the evaluate part comes from section 2.1, right? This is your algebraic expression right here. So I get -2, I have to write parentheses, okay? Squared minus 1. If you don't write the parentheses, it's going to be a different answer. And what does this mean? Well, we have -2 times -2 is +4. So 4 minus 1, which gives me 3. Okay, I just found the y value, right? This is really my y value, right? Or your f of -2. So what ordered pair did I find? What x comma y, right? Or as the book says, y is equal to f of x. Well, I found if x is -2, then my output is 3. Okay, so that's 1 point on the Cartesian plane, but 1 point isn't sufficient to graph this equation. So let's find some more points. So we have f of, well, the next one is -1. And again, -1 squared minus 1. And again, we're just using the order of operations, right? -1 squared, -1 times -1 is 1, minus the 1 is 0. So what ordered pair did I find? -1. If x is -1, then y is 0, right? We have an input and an output, right? This is an input. If I plug it into this function, then I get this output. And similarly, right, we can do this for f of 0. So that's 0 squared minus 1. Well, 0 times 0 is just 0 minus 1, which is -1. So if x is 0, then y is -1. And similarly, right, f of 1. So that's 1 squared minus 1. And again, I really want to emphasize when you input your value, right, you have to put parentheses. And we have 1 squared is 1 times 1, right, which is 1 minus 1, which is 0. So what do we get? If x is 1, y is 0. And then finally, if x is 2, right, f of 2, right, means plug in 2 into the f function, right? So 2 squared minus 1, well, 2 squared, right, that's just 4, minus 1 is 3, So if x is 2, y is 3. So I'm going to go ahead and I just want to highlight some of these. So my inputs, right, are my yellow guys. So these are all inputs. Okay, and my outputs, right, or my inputs are these guys, and my outputs, I don't know, let's just make it maybe light blue, right? These guys are my outputs, right, which are these guys. So outputs. So I want you to think about this as, right, F is, well, let's go ahead and graph it, and then I'll talk about this function or machine-like equation. Okay, so we found a bunch of points, right? Our ordered pairs, right? The order actually matters. If I switch the two, right, it's different unless they're exactly the same number. So ordered pairs. Okay, so here's my y-axis, my vertical line. Here is my x-axis, right? So x-axis and y-axis. And let's go ahead and plot these points. And again, this is not perfect graph paper, but I'll go ahead and try my best to plot these nicely. So what do we have? Negative 2, comma 3. So negative 2, right, comma 3 is right here, right, negative 2. And the next one is, right, that's the negative 1, comma 0. So negative 1 is right here, and then I'm going 0 up. So there's another point. There's negative 1, comma 0. 0, comma negative 1. Well, 0, comma negative 1 is right here. And maybe let's just label these. That's a little arrow. So this is negative 1, comma 0. So check 1, comma 0. Okay, 1, comma 0 is right here. So check. And then 2, comma 3. So there's 1, 2, and then, right, this is 3. So up 3. So here's 2, comma 3. So if we connect these points, right, or connect the dots, we get something like this, right? And you have to put arrows. Okay, that should go through that point, right? So this is the function, right? This is your y. This is your f of x equals x squared minus 1. And I want you to understand that this is, think of it as, okay, f is some machine. So f machine, and something's going wrong with my pen here. Let me try to choose a different font. Okay, so here's f machine. Okay, that's some machine, and you're inputting something. So that's going to be your x, right? Something is going, well, right? We're putting something in the machine, right? And it's doing its work, and something comes out, right? What comes out is our f of x, right? Or our y. So f of x, right? That, again, this is your, I think I called it yellow, right? This is your input, and this is your output. And again, another, we can call the output y, right? So again, x is the input, and y is the output. So that's it. That's our graph. And notice again, we're using what we know already. We are evaluating, right, this algebraic expression by inputting certain values. And again, this is the Cartesian plane. Or if you're not familiar with it, again, read page 408, right? Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, x-axis, y-axis, right? And these are ordered pairs, or another just a fancy name for plotting or points on this Cartesian plane. Okay, so that is my example.